let's get real about Trump's Madison Square Garden disaster, because that's what it was. This wasn't your average rally. This was a hate rally, where the worst, most deplorable elements of the MAGA universe gathered like a pack of rabid raccoons. I'm talking Tony Hinchcliffe, Hulk Hogan, Charlie Kirk, Dr. Phil, yes, even Dr. Phil joined this bizarre freak show, plus a rotating cast of characters that would make Freddy Krueger blush. So first up, Tony Hinchcliffe. Now, we knew Hinchcliffe had a history of saying truly repulsive things. This is a man who once joked about going half-seas on a slave, folks. That's the level of humor we're dealing with here. And Trump invited him on stage. So what does he say this time? He calls Puerto Rico, a place that suffered horrific disasters, a floating garbage can. Classy, right? Just a masterclass in grace and empathy. He must have thought he was being edgy, but the truth is, his jokes hit harder than a shovel to the head. And Trump stood right there, eating it up. And that wasn't all. He doubled down on other racist and xenophobic jokes, doing his best impression of someone who has the moral compass of a gnat. And listen to this. Hinchcliffe even managed to throw in some casual misogyny and anti-Latino sentiment. He said Latinos don't pull out, as if he's speaking from some vast, creepy experience. Apparently, he thinks all this is acceptable humor. But, of course, that's what this MAGA crowd calls comedy these days. And Trump, sitting right there with a smirk, like it was all in good fun. Then there's Charlie Kirk, Trump's favorite youthful hate-monger. His bit? White boy summer? Yes, that's what he brought to this rally. A theme that's one step away from full-blown segregationist rhetoric. This guy is the modern Republican who doesn't want black people to be pilots. He's got this ridiculous fear of black pilots, saying he wouldn't feel safe on a plane with one, as if pilots aren't trained professionals who go through insane levels of testing and certification. He sounds like someone who wouldn't trust a calculator if it didn't look like his grandma's checkbook. But that's Charlie Kirk for you, the supposed youthful face of the MAGA movement, spreading racist stereotypes like it's his full-time job. Now, let's talk about Hulk Hogan. He's the wrestling legend who once screamed, "What you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you?" Well, folks, Hulkamania has taken a nose. Hogan's now running wild on the MAGA campaign trail, apparently. He gave some weird spiel about real Americans and how men protect, serve, and provide. Real cutting-edge stuff, right? Hulk's message is basically, women, go bake a pie while men handle business. And let's not forget, this guy has a history of using racial slurs. But he's apparently on Trump's shortlist for, wait for it, a cabinet position. The irony here is thicker than Hulk's 24-inch biceps. Can you imagine Secretary of Defense Hulk Hogan? He'd be in a meeting like, all right, brother, we're gonna hit him with the atomic leg drop. I mean, we're one step away from appointing Bigfoot to the Supreme Court. And speaking of irrelevant TV personalities, Dr. Phil was there. Dr. Phil! This man's entire career was launched by Oprah, but now he's ranting about how America wasn't built on diversity. No DEI, he says. Dr. Phil, your career is diversity personified. You were brought to fame by a black woman. DEI is why you're here. And now he's on the MAGA stage, pretending that hard work and grit alone brought him success. The cognitive dissonance here is enough to make your head spin. Then there's Eric Trump, poor guy. He gets up there and stumbles over his words, calling his father the best president we've ever had. New York didn't even vote for him. Eric has this enthusiasm, this big kid energy, but the lights are on and nobody's home. Watching Eric Trump try to rile up a New York crowd is like watching a puppy try to play with a mountain lion. No one's impressed, no one's excited. They're mostly just embarrassed for him. Oh, and let's not forget Elon Musk. Yes, dark gothic mega. That's what he's calling himself now. Elon decided that instead of simply ignoring MAGA, he'd try to make it cool. Dark gothic mega, he says, as though this is a middle school Dungeons & Dragons meeting. He's up there saying, well, mostly making noises. Seriously, this man thinks he's doing kind of genius rebranding, but in reality, he sounds like a kid banging pots together, hoping someone will call it experimental music. And the MAGA crowd eats it up, cheering for his dark gothic makeover like it's the next big thing. And then, folks, we get to Mega Mike Johnson, the new House Speaker. He's up there talking about law and order and fiscal responsibility, as if the guy he's cheering for isn't embroiled in about 1,000 lawsuits. Johnson says the other team, meaning the Democrats, are now into Marxism and socialism, that they're all about some kind of European-style Marxist utopia. He's painting a dystopian picture so ridiculous, it sounds like he's auditioning for a bad 80s sci-fi movie. Let's be real here. This wasn't a rally, it was a circus. Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden was like a casting call for who's who in American hate speech. These aren't just odd characters or fringe voices. These are the people Trump is bringing forward as spokespeople for his vision of America. And it's a vision where compassion, decency, and respect are out the window. It's a vision where people think good old boy humor is just a few slurs and a dash of misogyny. The people Trump's surrounding himself with don't represent strength. They represent fear. They're terrified of a future where everyone gets a seat at the table, where diversity is celebrated, not mocked. Trump's version of great is a throwback to a past where only some voices were heard, where only some people mattered. So, America, the world's watching. We're looking to you to see if democracy can stand, if unity can beat division, if decency can overcome hate. Think hard. This isn't just about today or tomorrow, it's about who you want to be. Because if you let this continue, if you let people like Tony Hinchcliffe, Charlie Kirk, and Hulk Hogan dictate your future, then we're all in trouble.